Oh, so awesome. Good morning, everyone. This is a bit of an impromptu visit from myself and my beautiful friend Lee. It was about time that I introduced you guys to her. So, Lee, thank you so much for joining me for a bit of a chat today. And you're going to share some beautiful tools with our tribe. And I'm just really excited that we're finally doing this. This has been a long time coming.
Me too. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. And thank you, Libby, for having me
You're
here.
welcome.
Let's see what's going to come out today.
Yes. So this is all unscripted. This is just we have one general direction, and that is to leave you guys with a really empowering tool to bring yourself back into your center. I think with all of the craziness that's going on out there, it's really important that we know how to come home.
Yes.
So a little bit about how we connected. Hi, everyone. I'll bring those comments up. Hello. So Lee and I met. Oh, the future depends on what you do today.
Secret messages already for you guys. Sorry.
It's so true. Is that cacao?
Mm-hmm. Ceremonial
Nice.
grade cacao. I drink it every morning. I just love it. I'm addicted. I don't drink coffee. That is my coffee.
I think I need to get onto it, and that would be a nice replacement for coffee.
It's so good.
Yeah. Amazing. So we crossed paths and just fell in love with each other when we first met at a we did a coaching program, like a business building program together. And you were just this angel. The first thing I remember of you, you led an amazing breath work on the spot.
I
forgot. Yeah. When we went to it was a leadership intensive, wasn't it? It was like a 3-day. Yeah. And you just stood there in all of your power and led us through a session. And then I learned so much more about you with your women's circles. And so tell us a little bit about your heritage, because you're not Aussie yet, I should say. But yeah, tell us a bit about your journey and how you got to this point.
I always say, whenever I present or I start like a chat, I'm like, let's get 2 things out of the way so people can focus on what I'm saying. My accent is from Estonia, small country in Northeast Europe. And why I don't have hair, like, am I, spiritually enlightened? Am I sick? What the hell is wrong with me? But we'll figure out later. Stay tuned.
So funny.
Yeah, so I'm a transformation coach, and I've been working with women officially for the past 3 years, but my journey started, I would say, 7 years ago, like what I would call like a conscious journey, right? When I started to, really feel that I had this kind of longing and emptiness inside me, right? And I was like kind of having it all in my life, but I just didn't feel it. I was so disconnected from my body, from my emotions, and this is how I started. And lots of problems with, not having self-love, body image issues. I was like having the best, I was in the best shape of my life, but felt like the worst, which always shows how what you see is not real always, and that's how I started asking myself deeper questions, and one thing led to another. And today I work as a transformation coach, and I host women's circles before Corona happened, and I've been doing, of course, online programs. And yeah, that's very shortly about me.
And your women's circles are incredibly popular. The feedback and the testimonials that come from the journey that people go on at your circles, and you even took them back home to Estonia too. When you
Yes.
visit there, you take them back home as well.
That one, sorry to interrupt you, but that's particular one. It's interesting you mentioned it, because I really felt there was like a full circle moment. I come from a very small town of 2,500 people, and everybody kind of knows everybody, or they think they know you. And to be there years later, like I have lived abroad for 10 years, 4 years in Australia, and to really be there back in my hometown where everything started for me, be in the same house where I once was presenting in a play, acting in a play like a little kid, and just bring this work back home. Like, that was so powerful for me.
Amazing, amazing. So you actually you had a big impact on my life when you came to the first full moon circle that I ever kind of co-hosted, I guess. I was like a liaison for the event and had a healer kind of host. And one thing that I really love and respect about you is that you cut through the fluff and you have this real precision with what you see. So we can have all of these stories going on and it can feel like a bit of a cloudy day. And then for me particularly, you just cut through straight to the core question where you were like, do you want to do this? This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm seeing. And I'm like, what? Oh my God. But that was an absolute pivot point for me and my journey. So I don't think I've ever shared that with you. And I really, really thank you for that.
I do remember that very well. I do remember the conversation like it was yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, I don't. I do feel it's like something I've always had, I can't stand superficial conversations. I just see beneath the veil, I think this is my superpower.
Yes. Yes. Isn't it funny with StreamYard, we don't always get the name come through, but I am willing to bet, I reckon this might be Kath Thompson. My energy is already excited for what you will teach me. I can't wait for my lunch break to get my journal out and start brainstorming. Yes. Awesome. You've got the vibes. You got the vibes. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about, there's two core things that I would love to cover. And I think we'll end with the embodiment practices because that will be a beautiful place to start. But one thing that we are seeing particularly, it is Kath Thompson. Intuition.
You're good.
I love you, sister. So one thing that we are seeing particularly in 2020 is a lot of our foundations are crumbling. The stability is becoming unstable because this new world can come into fruition. We can build from the ground up. And a lot of the old systems, the old hierarchies, those old ways don't work anymore. But up until this point, when there has been, females in those leadership roles, sometimes it has created an imbalance. And I cannot remember who spoke about this, but they said one of the most ruthless things can be a feminine centered person in their masculine role in leadership, because we come out of our true alignment and we can become ruthless. We can take steps. That's when we can get cutthroat. That's when things can become damaging, because a masculine in that masculine role, in their masculinity, they also have incredible integrity and alignment, and no man will be left behind. Whereas sometimes a feminine in that role, playing the masculine, can, from a heartfelt space, can not always have that integrity, and it can really become unstable. So one thing that you really love to help people lean into is their feminine leadership. Like, what does that look like when we truly are in our feminine leadership?
I like that you're bringing it out and what you said, and I wanted to add here, I do feel it's, we've come from that place where, women didn't have leadership. We weren't working in leadership roles. We were at home, we didn't feel equal to men. And, all of a sudden, all of this was changing. With emancipation came these feelings of power and empowerment. And I feel like we've almost swung on the other side, where we are now so scared. There's this part where women started pushing, right? And we realized this is not working anymore. Pushing, working like men, behaving like men, that actually leads us to burnout. And we found out that's not working anymore for us. So then we took on board this, like, let's just lean back. Let's just, be in our feminine, meaning let's just receive. And I feel almost it's also coming from that wounded side where we don't want to take action anymore. We are afraid of that masculine power as well. And that's what I see. A lot of women are now, they are also struggling, embracing that masculine side of them. And what feminine leadership ultimately is about, it's about bringing them both together, where we're not afraid of our masculine either, because we need structures. We still need all of these masculine things. This is not a negative thing, you know. And but what I also say, feminine leadership, we often think about very classical management roles, or people who work in leadership, CEOs, managers. When we talk about leadership, that's what we have in mind. But ultimately, leadership is about leading ourselves, because when we lead ourselves, we are better leaders for others. And I know a lot of coaches are also missing it. We are always there for others, but we forget that, you know, we need to take care of ourselves as well. We need to put ourselves first as well. And I say feminine leadership is about, it's actually radical, leading yourself with radical self-compassion. And why self-compassion? Because if you truly accept all parts of you, you have nothing to prove anymore. You have nothing to pretend. It's safe to be yourself. And why it's radical? Because, you know, we live in a world that is telling us we need to be more successful, better versions of ourselves, and constantly there's another level. So having self-compassion is a radical thing to do.
Yes. And no matter the work that we are doing, it feels like the layering never ends. There's always another layer. But something came through, and I cannot remember which universal law it was, but Joy Kingsborough just came into the group and shared 25 days of 25 universal laws. And there's some moments when I was listening to her, it was about 15 minutes a day. And I was listening to her one time, and she said, there will come a time where we need to stop chasing the healing. We need to stop thinking that we are so broken that we need fixing, and we need to chase the healing, because as soon as we come into the one energy, the energy of all, we are all connected, we are all one, then the healing naturally transmutes in the invisible layers anyway. So rather than having, you know, the duality of, okay, I need to do this healing to be fixed to get to that point, and it becomes a linear process. It's like, no, if we actually stop and embody this energy of we are all connected, we are all one, the healing can come so naturally.
We're still rejecting our human experience, which means the messiness. Life is always throwing curveballs on our face, and we don't have control over that. And that's why I even say, yes, this year has been challenging. We are out of control, but we have always been out of control. It's now the time when we can no longer run. There's nowhere to hide. And that's why it feels like everything is falling apart, but it was meant to fall apart. It was meant to fall apart. And I love what you were saying about this focusing on healing. And I went through that phase when, you know, I came from the place of not feeling anything, feeling numb or overly emotional. That's another side. Like sometimes you feel numbed out, a sign of disconnection from your body. You're so numbed out, you're suppressing your emotions. But the other side of it is that emotional turmoil, that drama, the constant need for ups and downs of your life. That's another sign of actually being disconnected from your emotions. Because when we are connected to our emotions, it's actually moving through our body very easily. Scientifically, it's proven it takes 90 seconds to feel a pure emotion. But what happens? We resist it. We have a story around it. You know, why did he do this to me? Or why this happened to me? Oh my God, look at me, here I am again. And the story goes on and on. And why I talk about it, you know, it is part of what we are talking about today. feeling your emotions. So now I was a little bit moving away from the topic already and kind of forgot what I wanted to add, but I guess I had to go there.
It's all good. It is all good.
Yeah.
It's yeah, like I guess coming back to the feminine leadership, it is leading ourselves first. And it is breaking down the ideas, the frameworks, the boundaries of what we think leadership looks like.
Absolutely. And now I also remember what I wanted to add here. So, it was like when you come from that place of not feeling anything or realizing that something needs to change, and then we start doing this personal development work, right? And we get so addicted, and I've been there, and it's still the same pattern. You're just wearing a different dress, kind of, but it's still there, believing that, okay, after I do this, then everything will change. And I see that, in the past version of me, and I see it with my clients. There's this, like, we're reading the personal development books, listening to podcasts, taking one course after another, but don't forget, these are the tools. But what is number one and the most important step that will transform things for you is what I call energetic commitment. And that's commitment that you are responsible for your own transformation. And everything is a tool. The book's not going to give you the answers, and you're going to use it as a tool. But if you haven't made up your mind that, you know what, I'm done, there's nothing to fix anymore, and I'm going to use those things as tools to, help me guide through that process that I'm going through called life, that's what's going to help you. But a lot of people are missing energetic commitment, and that's when we do one thing after another, we read another book after another course, even maybe work with coaches, and nothing changes. So that's where you want to look at, am I truly committed?
So interesting. This brings up for me, so September 2017, I went to my first Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins.
Yes.
And then I returned in 2018 with my husband, and in between we went to Date with Destiny. Then last year, 2019, I went and in the volunteer role and I was on the fire crew, because you do the fire walk, and I was a pit monster. So we were with the fire pit the whole day. And with Corona, the live UPW isn't happening. It started yesterday, and it's a virtual one now. So he has this, like, his own arena of Zoom screens, encircling him, and he's doing the event. And so I see a lot of people sharing from yesterday, all of their shots, and, they're having their dance parties and getting in peak state and all of that. And I just sat with that, and I was like, I always thought I would be at those events. I always thought in some role, whether it was in, assisting in leadership, at some point I thought I was going to be at those events. And I had to sit back with, am I okay with not doing that which I thought I was going to do every single year? But it's very much because it's not, I feel like sometimes it can be a crutch. Sometimes it becomes a part of your identity, being in those circles and in those families. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I just realized that, okay, I've just stepped slightly outside of it. And I'm not saying that I'll never go to an event like that again, but it brought that thing up of, like, okay, how do I feel if I've actually excluded myself from that energy and from that process and from that event? Yeah. So it's just, awareness is everything. And that is the day when I realized, 2017 September, awareness is the golden key that gifts us so much. It gifts us our transformation. Having that awareness to sit and acknowledge something, to either dive deep into it or to not, but just to know that it's there is the gift that can change everything for us.
Wow, it's so beautiful. And this is again, like, awareness is always the first and most important step, because that's what's going to open the doors. And as we're talking today about embodiment, this is a step that I feel often people forget about. And what embodiment really is about, of course, embodiment is being connected to your body, but it's also about practicing all those tools, putting all the tools into practice. And it's not about posting on Facebook or Instagram quotes about facing your fears and all of these inspirational, motivational quotes, but then not taking action in your real life, because then it's not going to change anything for you. And that's why, I am such a huge fan of embodiment. And that's why I always talk about embodiment. How can we, like even today, if, there are people who listen to us and feel inspired, that's great. But even bigger prayer for me, for you, is that you take something and you really put it into action, or you take that first step towards changing something, whatever it is for you. So I wanted to add here, last year, and I mentioned about, and people can see I'm bald, and maybe wondering what the hell happened. So last year, I lost my hair to alopecia, which is a autoimmune condition. And I had long hair, and I always was very much identifying myself with my hair. And when that happened, it was one of the biggest gifts of my life, because I had to let go of that old identity, that old me that died, and of course the ego wants to hold on to it. And it was also why I'm also talking right now about it, because I had this moment when I had to decide if I'm going to hide or I'm going to embrace who I am. And it was a scary thing. Although I knew from whenever that question came to me, I knew I can't hide. There's no way I can hide. And that day when I had to, post on social media my bald photo and say, hello, by the way, I'm bald, and share my story. It was like rebirth for me, actually. But it was so scary. It would have been easier just to, buy a wig and pretend like nothing happened. And why I'm sharing it, it's like, you might not be resonating with hair loss, I hope so, but we all have had some kind of loss in our lives, or accepting change. So that's what's happening this year as well, change. So what can you do? Like, what do you choose? Are you letting the old die so the new can be rebirthed, or are you holding on to the old, scared, what will happen?
Yes. Yeah. And I feel like so many things come up for us to see that. And sometimes we just see them as such huge obstacles that we can't work through. But then sometimes we can be like, wow, I can actually just let this drift away. I really can. One thing about action is, in my old days, say 2 years ago, I was very action orientated. And so if I had an idea, if there was something I wanted to do, I would burn the candle at both ends until that was achieved. And it was only once I let that pattern of behavior go, because it was not working, and I finally stopped for a minute, and I spent about 6 weeks sitting in a chair that I meditated in, and I had my incense and my cards and my crystals, and I just daydreamed, and I just finally stopped for a minute to come home and figure out what was really important to me. And from that place, then I started to follow the nudges that led to the action. But it meant that action was aligned with me, my purpose, my vision. So yes, action is fantastic, but make sure it's actually taking you in the direction of what you want, and not what other people, not somebody else's framework of how your life should look, or how your business should look, or what business you should be doing. Make sure it is you, your core, your purpose, so that that action is taken from that alignment. And the beauty of doing that and aligning first is just how easy it is, how much flow and ease and continuity and synchronicity. It is just amazing what happens when we stop for a minute, align first,
And
embody that purpose, and then we can take steps.
and not to forget that actually sometimes being is action. Leaning
Yes.
back and kind of reflecting is action. So when we talk about action, we often think about like tasks, goals I need to do.
To-do list. Yeah.
Action is also going for a walk because you just like can't think any longer. That is action. And sometimes that's even more radical, than
Yes.
doing the actual thing.
Sometimes that is harder.
Yeah,
Sometimes it is harder to stop for a minute and sit on the meditation pillow or walk down to the beach to
absolutely.
actually give yourself that space. And that's a constant struggle for me. I know how much benefit that would bring me, but I struggle with that balance of the action.
I tell my clients, when they struggle to even have lunch breaks or whatever, like put it in your calendar, treat it as part of your business plan.
Yes.
It's like you schedule your calls, you schedule your lunch break, because it is as equally important as that client call.
Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. So as we wrap up, I know that you have so many tools. I know. I know. Well, what I wanted to do was actually invite you back for a mini workshop on next Tuesday night in our Facebook group, Soul
Yes.
Journey Tribe. So I know. So if you're catching this, give us a hashtag replay, and I will jump in now and I will schedule that, so you can click get reminder. And Ly is going to come in and share some amazing tools with you guys on Tuesday.
Yes.
Before we go today, what would you like to leave us with? What tool, what simple tool for embodiment and self-connection can you leave us with today?
I actually do want to say 3 things. I just,
Yes.
I thought people will really benefit from it. And number one thing, and it's going to be very difficult, by the way, but I know you guys like a little challenge. It's called information detox. And I feel we need it more than ever because we are bombarded by millions of messages. And that's when we feel fearful, we feel out of our center, and actually disconnected from the body and therefore from our intuition. So what I do every now and then, 30 days of information detox, which means I don't consume any social media. I only post my stuff. I don't listen to any podcasts. I don't listen to any personal, anything to do with personal development, because that's my field, right? And I don't read any personal development books, and no news for 30 days. You are allowed to watch Netflix, go crazy, and read novels, and that's it. And I really challenge you, maybe try even for 5 days. For some people, even 5 days is a huge challenge. But you will call me and you'll thank me. You're like, you know what? Remember that, Libby, there was this bald girl who was on your Facebook Live. I want to thank her. So try that.
With a funny last name.
Yes, that nobody can pronounce.
Yeah. That's why I introduced you as Ly.
Yeah, Ly Aunapu. That is my name.
I know. I added too much of a poo on the end. We were like, let's just stick with Ly.
No poo, please. So, and the other thing, when you feel really, you feel anxious, but even if you don't feel anxious, you just want to connect with yourself. The most simplest, the most powerful tool there is out there is your own breath. And you don't have to do 20 minutes of breath work. You can simply take 10 deep breaths in and out. And how often I say to people, yeah, I know that. Yes, you know that, but are you doing that? That is the difference.
Do you do it? Yes.
And the third one, my favorite, is a cold shower. I'm a really big fan of Wim Hof method. I don't know if any of you have heard of him.
Yes.
So cold therapy is really my thing. And, if you're starting out, just, start with a warm shower and then have like even just 10 seconds of cold shower. But this was one of the biggest things that helped me when last year I was going through really hard times due to my hair loss. I was feeling really depressed and anxious. Breathing and cold therapy was really what helped me the most, not even meditation. So
yeah. Well, because sometimes meditation isn't bringing us back into our body, right? So I actually moved away from the habit of ending my showers with a cold shower, because I was doing that for a very long time. So that's one tip. Actually facing yourself with a cold shower from the start can be a bit daunting. So you can go in there, have a warm shower, and then just say to yourself, okay, I'm going to breathe and I'm going to get present. Your mind won't be anywhere else. You will be very, very present once that shower goes cold. And just say, I'm turning the hot shower off first. And so as you're turning it down, you can do it in, stages of 3. It doesn't have to be straight away, but just start breathing and letting it actually change and the cold water wash over you. And at the end, sometimes like I've only got a shoulder and an arm in there because I'm like, ah! But as much as you can do is a benefit. So I'm sure you're a rock star in the cold shower though, Ly.
I love it. I do ice baths as well. And the other thing I always tell myself, because cold showers, now it's getting easier because it's warmer outside, but in the winter it was really hard. And I always told myself, I can do the hard things. It was like my very first, I started the day with this, like I already did something that I didn't want to do, but I knew it was good for me because I always felt amazing afterward. Because sometimes in life, we need to do the hard things, but then later they're going to be the good things, if you know what I mean.
So true. Yeah. So true. And you get out of a cold shower feeling warm, but if you have a hot shower, you get out feeling so cold. So, just know, I'm going to feel so warm after this.
Very true.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So take your 10 breaths, but actually doing it. And I highly recommend 10 breaths as soon as your alarm goes off in the morning, and start your day with that oxygenation. That and some lemon water, it will change your day for sure. Yeah. And ceremonial cacao, of course.
Of course, always.
I'm so going to order myself some of that. It's about time.
I have a good, how do you say, supplier?
Source, yeah.
So they're in Perth, but I mean, they're really good price, and whoever wants to. I'm not affiliated with them, by the way, but I'm a fan.
Yeah.
So
excellent. I'll grab the link from you. Thank you so much. You're late. We'll watch the replay. All good. Thank you so much, everybody who has joined us. So Ly is going to jump in Tuesday night and do a mini workshop with you guys, with us. And thank you so much. It's so nice to just chat, chew the fat. So good. Yeah.
And if anyone have any questions, please, I'm happy to reply. Just write it in the comments or share your insights with me.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Big hugs.
Thank you.
See you, everybody.